Very good morning. I'm Surya Tilagam. Today we are going to see the second unit of literary criticism. The topic for today's discussion is biographical criticism. In this unit, we are going to see the basic tenets of biographical criticism. And this unit will help the students to understand what is biographical criticism and what's the difference between biographical and historical criticism. First, we should understand what is biographical criticism. Biographical criticism refers to analyzing a work of art based on the writer's biography. And we are here to analyze the relationship between the author's personal life and his work. It is somewhat similar to historical criticism because we analyze the historical background of the author. But still, there are some differences between historical and biographical criticism. And this biographical criticism is a method which uses the personal data about the author in order to understand better his works. So, when we want to understand a work of art in a better way, we tend to go to the biographical details of the author in order to find any relationship between his personal life story and the work he has written. And this author's life may reflect the literary tendencies of the era. So, this biographical criticism will give us some details about the background study, that is, the age in which this work was written. So it gives a kind of uh, knowledge about the historical background of the work and who practiced this biographical criticism and when was it practiced. Actually, this biographical criticism was in practice during the Renaissance period, which was first employed by Samuel Johnson, who's known as Dr. Johnson. In his book Lives of Poets, he used this method to analyze the works of around 50 poets. And the chief among them was uh, Chaucer, Shakespeare, Milton. Okay, these poets' lives and works he has analyzed in this book. And after Dr. Johnson, in the 20th century, it became popular, and especially to study the works of Charles Dickens and Scott Fitzgerald, critics used this biographical method in the 20th century. And this kind of method was also used to analyze the works of John Steinbeck, Walt Whitman, and William Shakespeare also. Now let's see what are all the characteristics of biographical criticism. Biographical criticism is sometimes compared with the new historicism because in both criticisms, specific attention is paid to the historical or biographical context in which the work was written. So, in this respect, it can be compared with the new historicism. And it is a development. We can say that this is a kind of development from the romanticism because it analyzes the personal details, it analyzes the subjective element in the work. So in that respect it can be compared with romanticism as well. And what are the basic assumptions of biographical criticism? This type of criticism assumes that the knowledge of an author's life is more important to understand an author's work. It assumes that the more we know about the author's ideas, beliefs, and personality, the better we can interpret his work. Biographical criticism emphasizes the relationship between the author and his literary work. And it also believes that the work and the author cannot be separated. So the critiques look for the glimpses of the author's consciousness or life in the author's work. So through the work, the critics try to deduce the personal details, the personal life history of the author. And the author's early childhood events, psychological illnesses, relationship conflicts, unfulfilled desires may be revealed through the work of art. And in this respect, it looks similarities with psychoanalytic criticism. So, biographical criticism has its connection with neo-historicism, romanticism, and psychological criticism. And though there are similarities, there are some differences between biographical and historical criticism. Let's see what are the differences. In a biographical criticism, we give importance to the author, whereas the historical criticism focuses on the background age in which the literary work was produced. So that is the major difference between biographical and historical criticism. And biographical criticism believes the idea that the author and his work are the offspring of the age. It also assumes that each age has a different assumptions and different values. And this appeared in 18th century but didn't dominate or become accepted or well known until the beginning of 19th century. So this is about historical criticism. Historical criticism came into existence in the 18th century, and it was once again it became popular only after 19th century. So for a long time it was not much in practice. Biographical criticism tries to ask what the author meant. So it is more like analyzing the psychological factors which impacted, which influenced the author to write like this. So biographical criticism focuses on what is the author's intention in writing the particular work. Yes. So biographical criticism focuses on identifying the author's true intention, whereas the historical criticism focuses on the age, the background. And this biographical criticism has also has certain limitations. What are the limitations? First, when we analyze a work based on the biographical details of the author, we tend to miss out the true value, literary value of the book. And we approach the text with certain expectation because we know the historical background or the biographical details of the author. So we approach the text with certain expectations, and when those expectations were not fulfilled, we get disappointed. So this is one of the limitations in biographical criticism. So the biographical information can interfere sometimes with the perception of the literary work. So we cannot understand or analyze the literary work for its own intrinsic values. And the readers make stronger accent on the biographical data and miss the literary value. And an ideal critique should not take the biographical criticism to the extreme in interpretation of the text. So we should not focus only on the biographical details of the author. By doing so, we will miss out the real value of the work under analysis. And the biographical information should not only deepen the message that is already in the text. The reader must be careful not to rely on the biographical information too heavily in his understanding of the work. Okay? So to sum up, knowing the writer's biography to show the relationship between the author's life and his work of art, is known as biographical criticism. It uses the personal data of the author in order to better understand his works. And this type of criticism started with the Renaissance period, and it is still in use till the 20th century. And the main focus in the biographical criticism is identifying the author's true intention in writing a work of art. This is the end of this video. Thank you for watching.